Hi guys, it's Krista, and I wanted to do a global reading for 2021. But first off, nobody really bought on the yoga, so I'm not going to do it. I may put some yoga videos up, just some of my favorite poses, and explain to you the service that I offer, in which we have a conversation and I give you a prescription of yoga poses that helps whatever it is that you come to me for. Okay, that's a whole other topic. I'll do a video on it, but tonight I just want to do a 2021 global reading. Got the cards here, and then at the end of that, I'll also do like one card for each sign that kind of captures the year. Okay, and I am not liking my lighting here. Let me see if I can make it a little better. I guess these O-rings with glasses, there's just not too many ways around it. So let's see how we can get here. So just drop into prayer. Dear angels of love and light, please allow this reading to speak to many people about what they may expect in 2021. I don't think I didn't do globals last year. I didn't do a yearly last year. I couldn't have predicted this, although there were some astrologers and psychics who did. Yes, please allow people to experience this reading with understanding of their soulful contracts and experiences here on Earth, especially during this incredibly interesting and challenging time. Thank you so much for your presence, and so it is. So let's just get started, guys, and see what we get here. Okay, the first thing I'm hearing is that all this is happening to grow us. And the nightmare is coming to a close. That's in the recent past or nearly recent past. But that doesn't mean that we don't have more work to do. It means, so 2020 is showing up as the tower. I don't have to explain what that means. It's people jumping out of what they thought was a solid foundation, only to learn, indeed, it is not a solid foundation. We weren't living in a strong, structured, global experience. And so the image I'm getting is of a dog shaking off the water, right? So Gaia did that. She's like shaking things off, like, okay, you know what? I'm not real happy with the way things are going, so I'm shaking something up here. And then the first two cards that I drew when I said this is happening to grow us was the Empress, which is one, a universal yes card, and two, just lavish abundance. And the message I got when I heard this, and I didn't draw one card to represent that, but it doesn't matter, because the message I got, it was crossed by the magician. You can manifest anything you want. The message I got was that as we move into the age of Aquarius, and many people, would say with the astrology that's happening right now, that that's what we're doing, is that we begin to operate through air. And doesn't this make sense with the Zoom world? Whereas we needed physical buildings to gather at one time, we've now made an adjustment where we are operating through air. This is our the change in our financial foundation. It's the beginning of it. So, because the next one I get is a Taurus card, it's King of Pentacles. It's an earth sign, which has to do with finance, Pentacles, Taurus, Earth. And that's also well known for Uranus and Taurus, that Uranus is the change maker, Taurus is the experience of how we exchange resources or money. And Uranus is in Taurus. If you looked at my former global videos, especially, I'll just take a moment and explain that. With Uranus in Taurus, it happens every 84 years, I believe. It lasts 7 years. We're about a year and a half, maybe 2 in. It ends in 2026, I think. for 2025. I believe it's 2026. And it changes the way our money systems work. Now, that could also change the way our political systems work. I think we may be seeing some beginnings of that. It's definitely changing the way our needs are met, with the riots occurring. And we are moving into where we communicate with air. That is what I heard, or through the air, or airwaves, or the internet, right? Our gathering and communication and experiences are through the air now, instead of in person. Will we go back to being in person? Yeah, we will eventually. I'm hearing possibly 6 months, when the vaccines have, many of them have been distributed, we hope. And will it be different, angels? It will be different. People are going to be afraid for a while. There's some who are going to act like the superiority. Maybe those who have the vaccine or have natural antibodies and immunities. One more card for that, angels. It's the way we gather, the way we are social is changed forever because of this. And because, in the past, when there were pandemics, there wasn't an internet. And so we went back to gathering in the way that we always knew. I'm sorry for the glare. Can try maybe one different thing here. Yes. Yeah, that's a little better. Okay. So people just went back to gathering like that. Now we have introduced, Facebook video and Zoom and all these different ways that allow us to gather from all over the world that we had before, but we weren't utilizing because we didn't have as distinct a need. So we see that there's an end to the old world. And there is this smugness about the new, like when we come back together. Give me a little bit more information, angels. We're going to have to work harder to get along. We've gotten used to the airway, right? Of doing things over the internet where we don't have to get along with people. And I'm hearing it's turning into a lost art form. It was already challenged in the virtual world with Facebook replacing, church gatherings or actual parties all the time. I mean, people have spent so much time on Facebook as opposed to, or social media in general, as opposed to actually with people, that it had become a deterrent to our mental health. So there's going to be a lot of work, I feel like, in the brain health area of how we treat ourselves socially, and an adjustment to be able to keep up with what humanity actually needs when we're operating in air. So that's the change, and that's the challenge. Is yes, we'll meet again, but our skills for gathering face to face were pretty poor to start with. And I'm just not pleased with the lighting, so I'm going to play a little bit, which I know I should have done this beforehand, but it's been a challengingly busy day. Let's see, that's a little better. There's a lot of creativity that's going to come out of this work. And by creativity, I'm actually seeing like new understanding of how our socializing increases our ability to play, to feel, for our own well-being and good health. And there will be new ideas about what it is we need, how we get those needs met. Is it always through work? Maybe work becomes more of a Zoom thing, and for many, many people. And life is our gathering. So we'll actually be able to make more choices about who we are around and have fewer forced situations. Now, this is great for super intuitive people who pick up energy, right? Because you don't get as much over Zoom. Although I get me just draw a card, but I get like internet fatigued pretty quickly. And we're going to have to work on that. We need, this is perfect. So I got the King of Cups. Well, we need our mature, heart-filled activities to counter what's known as Zoom fatigue or internet fatigue. And so by that, person asked me today, or not just me, but people on Facebook, you know, my birthday's coming up. What do I do during the pandemic? And I said, go look for eagles, because I do that all the time. And he's like, I've never seen one. He's lived in this part of the country for quite some time, and there's bald eagles everywhere. I mean, it was like my first thing I did when I came back to the Midwest. And I've probably, since I've been back in a year, I have probably seen 3 dozen, if not more. Seen a bunch. Got a picture of several of them. To me, that's a super heartfelt activity. He jumped all over it because he'd never seen a bald eagle. So I think he's going to do that for his birthday, which is awesome. And we get to experience more and more heartfelt things like that to counteract this internet world where many of us will continue to work. I don't know that people are going to go back to all being in one space and having to get along. That leaves us, because so many of us have used work for socializing, myself included at times, that leaves us with needing to learn how to socialize in different ways. And therein lies the creative gifts that begin to take shape. They aren't going to be established. We're going to have, and in that interim, let me ask about that. We're going to have, there's judgment coming up in the legal system. There's 2 cards. A lot of people needing our assistance. Many of you know I used to work as a therapist, and many of the people that I know that still do are absolutely overloaded because we aren't going out to work and we aren't doing things, and so many states are on lockdown and countries, and the world has changed so differently and so quickly, and it left a lot of people isolated. And these changes, like in 2021, will be there'll be ideas, there'll be thoughts, there'll be conversations, but it'll be clear that we need to have social structures, especially in the United States, but around the world, to prevent the kind of isolation and challenging situations that have come up with us not going to work and not utilizing spaces. Now, one of the things I have seen, and this is coming up in the reading too, and this is really, really beautiful, is people are opening their hearts. You know, I can't tell you how many people I've talked to. I want to be able to do something. You know, I know all these people are suffering, and I have these gifts, and I'm ready to really drop them into the world. And people are going back to school to become nurses. They're doing all kinds of different things like that to try to counteract. And it's really beautiful to see that we as a human race are opening our hearts to what's occurring around the pandemic. And I'm going to say the riots as well. Now that's what's going to become clear. I'm actually seeing a listing of things we have to have in place. For instance, if we defund the police, and I don't see any issue with that as long as we replace much of what the police did, there's going to be a list of things. So then who then deals with a domestically violent situation? How is that person equipped? Because they could put themselves in danger. So they, is that a social service person who then now carries a gun? I mean, what does this all look like? But out of the riots, I see lists of this is what we're going to need. And this may go into 2022 as well, even 2023, like just getting the information clear may take 3 years. That's what I'm seeing. Like there's going to be chaos and mayhem socially. And then, what the cards are saying is that we still have so much work to do just to understand what the needs are. And I drew this next card, the Emperor. And we need to be really careful of who gets in power. We may have already learned this depending on your political affiliations. But there's someone who's going to try to step up. And I believe it's someone new, not someone we already know. And I don't like the way this feels. I'm hearing fascist. I'm hearing domineering, authoritarian. Let me ask, is that United States? No, it's another country, but it could become global. And there will be, if this person comes to power, there will be deep loss and bloodshed. It's the Five of Swords, but I'm actually drawn to the red that's spilled from the cups and seeing it as blood. And the black cloak too, just the loss that takes place. And I don't get that it's the United States leader, but it can definitely affect the entire globe if this person comes to power. Let me see if I get a country. It's a short trip to the United States. I've got that. It's a quick trip to the United States. That's all I've got. The number 8 comes up twice. '88, and a short trip. Mountains, green, water, so not desert. Tell me what else you want us to know about this person that could come to power. Yeah. There's a lot of suffering that could occur at that. What can we do to prevent it? I'm already hearing pray. Love one another. I drew the Queen of Cups, and then I heard the Mother Mary. So the Mother Mary is the Queen of the Angels. So she's the mother of the angels, as well as the mother of us. And I'll just tell you this story that's coming to mind. 2011, I spent Christmas pretty alone. I was new or back to Portland, Oregon, and I was watching some kind of documentary on the war, and the documentary ended with Patty Griffin's Mary, which is about the Mother Mary, the song, and it's absolutely beautiful. I'll put a link to it below. And I said to Mary in a prayer, how in God's name, in Jesus's name, can you watch us do that kind of destruction to one another? And what is it how do you manage that? And I look over, and one of the ribbons of the Christmas presents I was wrapping was in a perfect heart. And I knew it came from her to tell me that she loves. And Mary, although she feels very deeply, she can love us through so many different things. And actually, I'm just hearing very clearly to start praying now to her for a peaceful and benevolent leader. A little more background on the Mother Mary, and then I'll go ahead and read this next card, because she speaks through various people. One, the most recent book I've read, it's been a while, is Our Lady of Cabejo. It's a really beautiful story of what happened in Rwanda before the genocide that took place. She came to visit and spoke through 3 young girls and warned of the up-and-coming genocide. And this is still a debatable miracle in the Vatican. I believe it happened in 1980. It happened in my lifetime. And she warned that this could happen, but our human senses don't actually really understand when an ascended master comes through and gives us a warning. We can't always predict exactly what's happening. And I did not expect this reading to go this way, but I feel like I'm being given that warning right now. Like, yeah, please share this video, because the card I drew was of war. And she wants us to begin to pray now to put love in the hearts of as many people as we can, so that we can prevent what may come. Because I do feel global, it'll affect everyone. Like this Uranus and Taurus, even if the vaccine works and we've wrapped that up, and Sylvia Brown predicted that we'd have a pandemic. She died in 2010, but she said we'd have a pandemic in 2020 and it would burn out quickly. It'd end quickly. And pray that it does, that this is a solution, this vaccine. But then we have more changes and more work to do. So the heart opening that's been taking place, because people are suffering, and many of us that aren't on the front lines are able to open our hearts and give, and those who are on the front lines obviously are too, but I'm just saying that maybe we wouldn't have given to this degree or opened our hearts to this degree if this weren't taking place. There will be gifts that come out of the need for new systems and new structures. So there will be very clear ideas, but again, it may be 2023 until they're well presented. Okay, if this is our need, there are, 500 pieces underneath that need to be, and I'm seeing a counterculture creating this. Like, people are fed up with the systems that we have that don't work, and they want to recreate or create new ones. And the reason I said recreate in my brain, where it's going, was, and I'll come back to what Mary's talking to me about, is that I've heard some people talk and say, well, we need a social system, service system, and we need this, and we need this. Well, I remember when the world was set up that way. It wasn't that long ago, like 70s and 80s. A lot of those things existed, maybe not as the people today would like them. There wasn't the level of knowledge around, say, transgender or LGBT. It wasn't the same, but there was a more balanced number of services to assist people in day-to-day living, not just the police and government and law. It wasn't all pushed into law like it is now, in prisons. We had more crisis centers, for instance, for mental health issues. I watched those go down, and I'm watching some of them come back. We have a restructuring to do to get there. And wow, this is a lot. Potential, autocrat, and all this change, right? So some more for 2021, and what is our best activity? We will feel blindfolded until 2022 around some of these things. So what I'm hearing is that the problems that allow us to create the list of things that we want will be very apparent in 2021. And that we will, because we've learned how to, we will continue to go inward until some of these ideas, and I'm seeing like we have certain institutions, we have family for training people how to be moral and function in society. Not the greatest. It's not the greatest institution, because it overwhelms parents, especially mothers, and they get blamed for what should be the job of a village, correct? If they don't have the kind of assistance that they deserve. And it doesn't necessarily teach people how to live outside of that family. Again, in need of a village. So that's what I'm hearing for one thing, in institutions, that family may change radically so that we can actually teach people, instead of wounding them with generational things and closing doors. We may open that door to if you have children, you're going to be exposing them to so much more than yourself. Law. We've already seen a lot of problems with that. 2020 and how it is enacted. Certainly how the courts operate, who is chosen for your attorney. If you're given public defenders. How money can get people out of it. That all of that can change, and it can be a more just system. Although it's not bad. I think that that's going to be on the list. And again, we're going to see prime examples of the failure of our institutions that we're going to have to rebuild. And we're going to end 2021 knowing we have so much work to do as a society. I'm hearing prepare yourselves. That your day-to-day life changed in January of this last year, and it's not coming back. The new world, however, is going to be exciting to rebuild, correct? It's going to be precarious for a while, monotonous, but there's some gifts that come out of that. You've heard chop wood, carry water. Many people will be doing just that in 2021. Chop wood and carry water is, when all else fails, go busy yourself with something mundane. And from the mundane comes the beautiful ideas. But by the end of 2021, we will recognize just how much work we have to do. That list will be in process because we will have experienced a number of blatant failures of the institutions that we now use to carry out the meeting of human needs. I'm being asked to draw a card about the food supply because that's been in the news a lot. We have the potential to feed everybody on the planet. It's going to be okay. That's what I'm hearing. That will be one of the first systems. Can you give me a month? That by June, we'll have some kind of alternate system for food, or we're going to be, especially in the United States. But I think we're going to actually. Wow, I'm hearing that it's based upon horticulture. I was actually seeing a distribution that was different. And then I saw that horticulture might change. And it is global. It's not just the United States. I'm seeing that wreath in the world card, although it's the 6 of Wands. That wreath shows up in the world card. And the world card is all about a global experience or an ending. But in this case, I feel like it's the globe. So there are going to be new developments in horticulture that allow us to distribute food to everyone. A strong foundation. So all those news things about running out of food supply, hang tight because somebody's already working on this. That's one of and that's such a primary system, right? I'm being asked to draw a card about the pollutants in the ocean, the plastics. So there's an answer. It's just what I got. There's an answer in the esoteric world. Like some psychics already know where this is going to go, and it does need to happen quickly. And it's going to come from such a place of love, like a new way of viewing how we can do things. And we may have to change our behavior radically to clean up the earth. I know a lot of the problem is, and I recycle just about every piece of plastic you could imagine. I last year, and I had to put this down as the pandemic occurred, I was very, very focused on a product I could see in my mind that could reduce the plastics that end up on the planet and the ocean. We're all over the place. And I did a lot of research on what I could recycle and what I could not. And so I spend more than half of my dishes are things I clean up so I can recycle them. And I'm hearing that we may need to do more of that. We may need to make this loving adjustment that creates a new distribution of goods and services that removes the multitude of single-use plastics from our homes. All you got to do right now is look around your home, and you're going to agree with what I say, because you're going to see that I'm just looking right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items on my desk. 7 have plastic in them. 8, oh light. 9, the freaking lamp, right? And those all have to go someplace. They aren't single use. You know, you have them for half a lifetime or a lifetime, some of them. But when you look around your home, and this is the beginning of what I want you to know, and I will come back to the autocrat and the potential war because I want to speak to that more, but kind of just drawing questions. So when it comes to like the plastic problem, this is our love of Gaia. And I've said this over and over, the earth, we aren't going to hurt the earth very much before she gets rid of that which hurts her. She's more powerful than we are. But if we'd like to stick around and do as best we can to her, then we need to begin by looking around at everything you throw away or have in your home that's plastic and start treating it differently, which is to get it to recycling, clean. And I know it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. But as much as you can, or choose not to buy things that are plastic, use plastic. Okay. I was also called to ask about global warming. We're going to see a big change in a new world because of that. And we're going to have to work really, really hard and for a long time to reverse it. Can we reverse it, angels? Yes, we can reverse it, but we've like gone too far. And we're going to start feeling that. I am seeing water come up over land. Is that 2021? Give me a clue what year. By 2025, we'll start to see that, and we're going to feel the effects of the mess we've made with global warming. And there will be scientists who allow us to reverse it. And I'm also drawn to that love card. Like, again, we're going to have to walk places, bike places, rely on electric cars, not fly as much, have alternate forms of living that reduce that carbon footprint significantly. I actually see it being rationed to keep the ozone intact. Like, I see people's ability to use any combustible that will affect the ozone rationed to the extreme. Measured and rationed. So any fluorocarbons, whipped cream, hairspray, any of that kind of stuff, but especially travel, big trucks that create a lot of pollution, non-electric cars, you know, that people have valued for years. They paid it off in 2010 and still running for them. We're going to have to begin. I mean, now would be better, but by 2025, we're going to see such, I mean, and every time I look at that 5, I see the water coming up over the land. A little bit more about that, angels. Water on land. The moon card, very watery card is how it's described. And can you see the blue, 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 blue everywhere, like water? We're going to have more water to deal with. Back to the autocrat and the war that I see, I want to see, is that 2021? That's a big yes. Big yes. I'm hearing the word steward. I think what that means, and it's a Queen of Pentacles, so she would be a steward, a maternal steward. So is that there will be people near you who are extremely vulnerable during this. And Mary is asking you to play a role to be a steward to their well-being. I have people in my life who are developmentally disabled and a cat who's disabled. And if someone tries to hurt especially someone I love, but anyone who's not able to protect themselves, I literally see red. I don't know if you guys have had that experience before. It's not pretty. It's not pretty at all. But if someone I love is being harmed out of them being innocent, a child, an animal, or not, even if I don't know them well enough to love them, I go through the roof, and I'm going to resolve it like instantaneously. All that yoga, I'm actually really strong. So, and that's kind of the approach she wants us to take, is to protect, especially those who are innocent in this. Like it's possible people could be divided on intellect, race, gender, and, not unlike Nazi Germany, there are groups that will be targeted. And I don't like the way I feel. Like my neck is hurting, and I'm starting to see red. Like I feel what this experience can be like with this autocrat. And very, very narcissistic, uncaring soul who creates a demarcation into who's better than whom, and is quite willing to commit genocide himself. I asked him, her, got him. But there's this wall of femininity, this maternal femininity, straight from the Mother Mary, that is manifested in many, many, many Western women. And in that wall, I'm seeing these social systems protect so many of those that this autocrat says are less than. Yeah, I'm getting angry. I'm going to be angry when this happens, right? I'm getting angry now. I'm also stepping back into the medical social service world to add my 2 cents worth during this transition. Someone asked me why I was returning to social work, and I said, somebody's got to rebuild the damn world, right? We've got to lead into the new era. And that's a huge part of it, is like, I want to be involved in that. Those ideas of that wall of, or even I'm seeing like a cradling of those vulnerable people that have been marked, and they aren't necessarily vulnerable people when not treated that way, right? I mean, some are if they're disabled. I'm hearing things I don't like to hear, like that person is a waste. No person is a waste, but this leader is going to try to get us to believe that entire groups of people shouldn't be here, to justify actions in killing them. But there are women, going back to my quote from the Dalai Lama, I think it was 2012 when he said it, that the Western woman would save the world. This is one way that we are going to rebuild these social structures, get it out of the patriarchal police law system, and build more maternal, beautiful, Marian-based systems to care for ourselves, our loved ones, and our dependents, and our vulnerable population. Gandhi said that you can tell and judge the character of a nation by how it treats its vulnerable people. Let me say that again. You can judge the character of a nation by how it treats its vulnerable people. Yeah, I'm seeing a wall of 3 queens, like covering that autocrat and his war and his changes, to like, and if right now I'm seeing like these babies and beautiful people being thrown at Mother Mary. All right, and she's catching them all. Wow. Boy, I had no idea where this was going. Angels, what else do you have just in general for me to say to people? Whew, this is a year of patience. There will be new ways that we make friends, new groups that form. to counteract, like with every movement, every social movement, there are, the more resistance there is, the more effective it is, right? It's like a counter. And so those friendship groups are just beginning to build those new structures. They're in the, oh my gosh, this is the new world, how do we do this phase? They're collecting data. Patience is required. Angels, if I could give people some advice for how to handle 21, what would it be? Okay, they're saying balance your relationships. So if you're over giving or over receiving from someone, they want that to balance out. They want you to walk into new situations that maybe you haven't dealt with before to relieve your counterpart of whatever they're giving. Maybe you're the breadwinner and you're the person who always gives financially, and it's time you receive that back. So it would be a new station for you to be on the receiving end. They also want us to make sure we get plenty of rest. And finally, be ready to take action. Start looking at your best way of taking action. Right, I promised you collective. So what I mean by that is I'm going to go through each sign and give you like a general feeling of what 2021 is going to feel like. One card for each. So Aries, you're going to be studying what to do next. So you're going to be in this big collaboration that I've just channeled, because I wouldn't say I thought any of this was coming. You're going to be the student who's sitting back collecting that data and just gathering information. Taurus, the independent worker, the independent ideas, the implementation of ideas as the entrepreneur. So I'm envisioning Taurus being able to take ideas and create some of these systems, because Taurus is very independent like that, and it was discs that I got for Taurus. Gemini. Everybody has discs so far. 3 of discs for Gemini. So there will be a rebuilding of communication, and Gemini will have a huge part of that. They will be building new communication systems. Like, remember, it's air. The way we communicate is now through the air, basically, by all former understanding. Cancer. Cancer is going to feel like they're in a whole new world. And they're going to have to make a lot of changes. It's exciting, though. You're going to be taking a lot of risks. Leo. Leo's going to be part of that communication, too. The global warming issue, if you're Leo and you have ideas about that, start writing them down. I see that and the pollution that causes it, you're going to be involved in that. Even if it's as a collective and your prayers are there. Even if it's that you got an electric car over a gas car. Virgo. Virgo is going to help the underdog in ways you never thought possible. Wow, I'm seeing those Virgo women, someone like really creating, I'm hearing like a castle for the poor, like the way we have viewed some people in a negative light will be flipped on his head. Maybe our essential workers, right? Who, make barely over minimum, if that. But I see this as a very nurturing experience. Virgo, what's after Virgo is Libra. Libra, if you're a Libra, start writing. or painting or whatever, but your artistic form in 2021 is going to comfort people and give them hope. Libra, Scorpio, is that right? I think so. Yeah. Scorpio will, I'm seeing transportation systems change, and this would have to do with global warming. And that's a place where Scorpio can put their energy into. And I'm also seeing like that Scorpio becomes a very big steward of many populations. So if there's some population your heart goes out to, and you're Scorpio, you're tasked with not only your personal journey with it, but maybe a community-wide one. I know one Scorpio woman wants to buy land and open up a place for people to come to inexpensively and live communally. So that's an example of what this card is showing me. Although it's a Six of Swords, it's taking people over water. It's pure steward card. You're stewarding two people to where they need to be. And so if there's any role like that you have, and it's personal, you could expand it to the community. It's going to be very necessary. Sagittarius. I'm hearing warrior, but in the loving sense, like not an actual war unless threatened, but lovingly offensive. No, not killing it with love or smothering it in love, but the kind of love where we protect ourselves through boundaries, whether they be physical, emotional, intellectual. I'm hearing this, like, I'm seeing this like a guard protecting others. Yay, Sag. Capricorn. We'll be coming up with new ideas. If you're a Cap and you have ideas, even writing them down adds to the tipping point in the collective. You don't even have to enact them, but you might want to. In this group of people who are having ideas about new social structure. Aquarius. Aquarius is being asked to, in this, Saturn's going to be in Aquarius, so this makes sense. Take your time. Be patient with yourself, because I'm going to draw one more card for that. You are going to be the larger end of some of those gifts, right? Like, or the later end, the more well-developed. And it's probably going to be 2022 or 3 until you are able to build that and drop it into society. And I actually see that, like, this building and dropping into society. Pisces. Pisces also is going to have a warrior approach. And this is going to be like diving into the muck and taking care of business. So like I see an EMT person diving in to assist folks in, say, a riot in some kind of emergency situation. Although those people are trained to protect self first, there'll be a lot of heroes that will be Pisces who dive into the world and really help out. Okay, I feel like I'm forgetting a sign, so I'm just going to count these up. Gosh, this was a reading I couldn't have even guessed one. Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sag, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13. That's all of you guys. All right, one more card for good measure. What a reading. Okay, we can celebrate 2021. Even though it's challenging and it's all over the place and there's massive change. And this whole reading is coming from the Mother Mary. We can celebrate because every one of these roles I've described, except for the autocrat, and even that which fights the autocrat, not fights, but, you know, protects from, is loving, maternal, and feminine. And that's how I'm going to end this, guys. Can't wait. I'll leave this up all year. I can't wait to see how it begins to unfold. And I get that this is the beginning of a whole new world. I mean, the pandemic opened the door. It's like it taught us to go inward and to find that inner uniqueness that we are going to need for the next 6 years. My original reading said that, and the pandemic said that this would take 3 to 4 years for us to adjust to, and here is what it's looking like. And I don't usually read with this much detail, but this is what came through. Thank you for watching. Please share this. Mother Mary is asking, please share this. And I love you guys to pieces. My final note, I'm seeing 3s everywhere. Rebuild, building, celebrating, and writing new systems, creating new systems. All right, I'll see you guys soon. If you have questions, drop them below, or if it's a very personal question, angelmanifestations@gmail.com. I'd love to channel to answer them. Talk to you soon.